Is the data landscape going to change for better or worse in South Africa? Adrian, what do you think? Could you give us your assessment on the white paper on ICT policy and the proposal to create a wireless open access network, or a WOAN?
Without ICTs, the country couldn't function, whether it's from an economic or a social or a government perspective. So this white paper is long overdue, and the intention is that it sets the use of technology on the right path. The policy sets out all of the right terminology in setting objectives for affordable access for as many people as possible, because without that we cannot function. I'm pretty much convinced that it's not delivering on the words that are set out in the introduction to the policy, because there are hurdles that the government is introducing.
What is the government proposing?
Government's proposing that we have a wholesale wireless open access network. Great expression, nobody actually knows quite how it'll work. And they're also claiming that it has been implemented in other parts of the world, although there's no evidence that any one of those, I think there are only 3, have actually been implemented successfully.
So how does South Africa's environment influence ICT infrastructure?
The existing operators know full well that South Africa's environment has required a very significant investment in infrastructure, from core network cabling to towers that reach the end users through their signals. South Africa is apart from the urban areas, a very dispersed population and requires a lot of infrastructure to be able to reach what you might call the marginalized consumers.
Okay, so what's your take on South Africa's cost to consumer?
South Africa's cost to the consumers are, generally speaking, competitive. If they weren't, we would not have, 50 million end users in a country of 50 million residents. So I don't think that is an issue. And in fact, if you look at the history of the take-up of mobile phones, we've been ahead of the curve of every prediction all the way along. So price, cost to the consumer is an issue, as everything that we buy is a cost, okay, and concern to us as consumers. But competitively, internationally, I think we don't stand out as being particularly bad.
In your opinion, is our ICT sector competitive?
It has to be reasonably competitive, otherwise we wouldn't have the market penetration that we've achieved already. More than 50 million devices in a country of 50 million citizens is proof that people can afford, or they can make a plan around being able to afford the service that they need. Competition always makes sure that pricing is competitive. It's just an economic fact of life. The trick to it is to make sure that it's genuine competition and not regulated competition. The idea that you can introduce a monopoly core infrastructure into a market that has been developing over the last 25 years is very, very difficult to contemplate. And so far, not too many people can see how it will actually work should it be implemented.
Monopolizing infrastructure, we've heard quite a bit said about that. Is there any downside to that?
The problem with a monopoly is there's no incentive to invest in new things, in new technology, in new ways of doing things, because the incentive is to maximize the return on existing investment rather than looking for new investment opportunities. Competition means that those investments have to be innovative, otherwise you're going to get left behind. The difficulty that I see with the wireless open access network as a monopoly is that we will lose ground as a country, because we'll have no incentive to keep up no incentive to move forward in competition with other economic areas. And that would be bad for the economy.
But let's talk benefits. Is there a benefit to establishing a WOAN?
I don't see one.